This is chapter 4, video 18. We're going to talk about comparing strings. So the comparison statement is really where you're looking at two things to equate down to being true. And it's using two equal signs as the operator to do that. Now, in this example, what we're going to do is we're going to look at taking the name Mary and making it equal to string value. So just the one equal sign is an assignment statement. That's where we take the word Mary and we put it inside a variable here called name1. Same thing with Mark. We put it into name2. Now, when you look at the if statement and we're asking the question, remember that everything in the brackets is it's the expression that has to equate to true. So the expression here is, let's take Mary and ask the question, is Mary exactly equal to Mark? Well, we know that's false in this case, so it would not perform whatever was inside of here. Unless we had an else statement, then we would have another block of statements that we could execute. So the double equal signs is asking the question, are these two balanced? Are these two exactly the same? It's a comparison statement where the single equal sign is taking it and assigning it equal to something else, making Mark equal to this. All right, now if we were to compare string variables for literals, in this example, this is a really clever way of using the not. So for example, if we type in a month, let's say it's January, as long as the month is not equal to October. So what it's going to do, it's going to actually look for any month other than October. And if that's true, it's going to put it in here. If this was actually equal to October, then it would not run this block of code. Now, there is a method called compare. And we looked at the other methods in the past here, but let's have a look at this one. And we're going to use it inside the expression of an if statement. So we already know Mary's assigned to name1, Mark is assigned to name2. So we could ask the question, and this is in the question right here. And remember, any expression has to have a comparison operator, and it has to have two sides of that expression. So this whole thing equates down to 1 is exactly equal to 0. So we're going to say, let's take whatever the string, let's take the string, and we're going to compare is the method. We got brackets here, and those brackets indicate that compare is a method. Inside the brackets, we have two arguments, so we're going to compare name1 to name2. So it's asking it, and this is going to actually figure out whether or not Mary is exactly equal to Mark. Well, that's false, right? That's not going to work, so it's not equal to 0, so it won't run this. This equates down to false. All right, so there are other options that we can use here, and we can build on that concept here when preventing data conversion exemptions. Now, that means that we are typing, when the user is typing in data, we can see if they're typing in the correct data. We use this try catch method, but now we're going to use another method that whenever they type it in, we can actually test exactly what's going on by using what they call a try parse. We're going to try and parse whatever the user did into a certain data type, whether that's integer, that should be double, there's a typo, or a decimal. So in this example here, this is the syntax of how it reads. And there's an extra feature here called we want to output it to a particular target variable. So here's what it actually looks like. If we take and declare a variable here, let's say it's an integer number. We type in a number like our age or something like that, and we declare it as an integer. We have an expression that has to translate to a true or false. Now, this expression here, you'll notice isn't assigning anything, but it's still going to be a Boolean expression. So basically, let's take a look at input text box, whatever gets typed in. Let's say it's our age, so we type in, you guys are, let's say, 22 years old. And what that does is the try parses takes 22 and it tries to parse it if it can, and it outputs the information into this new variable here called number, and then it converts it into an integer, and that equates to yes or no. Was it able to do it? Is 22 an integer? And in that case, it's true. But if you typed in something like, let's say, the wages, and it's 30, or let's say the number of hours you worked was 37.5, well, 37.5 is not an integer, and this would equate to false. And knowing that information, we can then fix data.